This is John Paul. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan, and sometimes on this channel I use the word feminist and it's negative. This person, Princess Wikis, if that's how you say her name, from the Mary Sue, will never be on Johnny Depp's side. If Johnny Depp goes to court in Virginia and wins, all the evidence is there, she will not be on Johnny's side because Johnny's a man, and she prides herself as a feminist. So when I say feminist, I'm talking about people like her. I'm not talking about good feminists like yourself if you're watching right now. Like, maybe your grandmother who fought for women's rights equally. There's now two types of feminists. So what we have to do is we need another word for the good type of feminist who believes in equality and that there are good men. And we need a word for people like Princess Wikis here who doesn't believe evidence or facts or anything and they only look at gender. So this article is obviously against Johnny Depp, and I've been waiting for this specific website to write this article because they were very quiet for a long time before the court case. And now obviously since, Amber Heard Amber Heard and the Sun have a technical legal win. I say that because obviously the judge was connected and we know it's not a real win, but people like this are going to ride it, full force and use it against Johnny. Because Johnny's a man. Let's take a look. Johnny Depp, the UK court affirmed can be called a wife beater, was asked by Warner Bros. To resign from the Fantastic Beasts films, and he did so sharing a message with his fans, in quotations, as if Johnny doesn't happen to have 8 million fans, at least on Instagram, well over 1 million who signed the petition to get rid of Amber Heard, but it's quotations, guys, because she wants you to think that, they're fans, that he will no longer be the Dark Lord Grindelwald. And mixed feelings about that. I personally think Johnny's too good for the role. I've seen Fantastic Beasts recently. Not a bad movie, but, Johnny Depp didn't have too much to work with. He kind of came in and, gave his little grins and things, but it wasn't like this fantastic script for him to work with, okay? He put in a face. He did a great job, but I just think he's above that kind of thing. So if Johnny Depp was in that movie, it would only help the movie. I mean from a completely artistic standpoint and enjoyment of the movie. There's controversy around him that he can't help, which is negative, but, as far as looking at it as a movie, objectively, he could only make it better. This follows Depp losing his defamation court case against The Sun in the UK, a case in which a lot of misinformation from Depp fans crawled into the mainstream, where even friends of mine didn't know details of the case, but were sure Amber Heard was a liar. And if you call misinformation covering things Amber Heard put out there that herself, like the audio she put out herself, like Instagram posts which were put out by Amber Heard, then yeah, I guess Amber Heard gave us some misinformation. But she didn't, because everything we covered, not literally everything, but the important things we covered were court documents and facts about Amber, how she got arrested, how she abused former relationships, she was arrested for DUI, there were police who testified against her. Those are great things people should know. Police testified against her, and yet it didn't really count. Johnny got his finger cut off, and okay, I guess that's misinformation. We've only got a picture. Amber is pretty much wanted for perjury in Australia. Wait, I guess that's misinformation from the Australian government. Good call, Princess Wikis. You're very intelligent. During the case, text messages and other information from the marriage were shared with the judge. One of the most horrifying was messages Depp sent to British actor Paul Bettany, aka Marvel's Vision, where he called Heard a witch and said he would F her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she's dead. And, this is like the one thing that they can say is distasteful and was in bad taste that Johnny did. It's the one thing. It's the only thing they really have aside from the fake bruises that they could really use against Johnny. So in this article that she waited 2 years to write, that was the best she could come up with, was that one text. The only thing that they used against Johnny, somewhat fairly. Somewhat fairly. It was an impulsive text. Everybody impulsively says things they don't totally mean. We can't prove that, so okay, you guys could say this one fucking thing over and over and, go in circles, but it doesn't actually mean anything. And sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but when fingers get cut off, you commit perjury, you slam the door in someone's face, you get wasted before you, go to important speech. well, those aren't just words. Those are shitty things that you do, and I'm talking about, of course, Amber Heard. Messages have come in asking us at the Mary Sue why we haven't covered this case in more detail, especially when it looked, due to misinformation, that Amber Heard was a more malicious player. Messages have come in asking us at the Mary Sue why we haven't covered this case more in detail, especially when it looked, due to misinformation, that Amber Heard was a more malicious player. The reality is that Depp fans, not just Depp fans, actual people of abuse, and people with common sense who use rationality and logic, like myself. Because before I saw this, you could say I was a fan of Depp. I always liked him, but not on the same level I am now after finding out more about him. So it was not just Depp fans. That there is misinformation. Have made any discourse about this topic truly impossible because they are determined to make Depp the ultimate victim when all evidence, remember that, all evidence shows that is not the case. So all Johnny's evidence, his video evidence, and we've got some of that, his audio evidence, some photographical evidence, and the common sense evidence that Amber Heard was arrested for abuse means nothing. Well, that's all evidence. And if I called this person a moron, I wouldn't really like myself for it, but I'd be factually speaking. Only a moron can say all evidence points to Amber being innocent. Obviously, this person doesn't know what evidence means. But then again, like I said, she doesn't care because Johnny's a man. Even if, and there can be an argument for this, Heard and Depp were mutually harmful to each other, the blunt reality of it is that Depp has been the one pursuing this in the public eye despite having a flourishing career. Well, here's the thing. At least she acknowledges there was abuse on Amber's side. So I can't say she's like 100% off base here. Because, okay, that was like one drop of common sense in this article. But she's like, I don't know, let's say 90% off base. Depp was the one suing. He has been the only one suing post-divorce and attempting to turn Heard into some succubus when it is his egomania that has gotten it to a point where he loses a libel case against the Sun, which he absolutely should not have lost. If you see the evidence and you think for yourself for a second, only a moron could come to the conclusion that that was a totally fair judgment. Also, Heard did countersue, so there is a factual error in this article, but that's okay, because like I said, she doesn't like Johnny because Johnny's a man. Because, who doesn't like Johnny? Come on, man. Jesus, give me a fucking break. Alright, my feelings about Amber Heard do not come from some fanatical place. I was not a fan of her work before Aquaman. Of course you weren't a fucking fan before Aquaman because no one knew who she was before Aquaman. You had no clue who she was. Maybe you'd heard the name someplace and you're like, oh, that girl from that movie. But I doubt it because nobody knew who Amber was before she married Johnny Depp. She has a life, a career, and a name all because of Johnny, and she abused him, and she just wants more and more for no reason. Well, actually the reason is because she has no fucking skill. She can't do anything. She's just a person out there. Same thing as Meghan Markle. Sorry to throw it in there, guys, but she's a nobody who married Harry, and she's trying to suck up all this money and fame and do these things. These women aren't actually anybody important with skills who can make it on their own. That's what I don't like about them. They're not respectable. It comes purely from seeing how quickly people want to vilify and turn against her. From seeing even feminists I know in real life believe that she is a gold digger despite the Rolling Stone piece that told us Depp is broke. So when she got with Depp, he was broke? Wait a minute. When she got with Elon Musk, was he broke? Because if you call over $40 billion broke, then I guess you are a moron. So guess what, Princess Weekies, Winkles, whatever your name is, if you think somebody who has sex with someone one time without a relationship who has $40 billion is not gold digging, I'd say you're a moron. I have to say it. I don't like being so insultive, so straightforward, but that's a moron. Yeah, not everyone's going to like this video because my attitude isn't great, but I got to keep it real. This is how I feel. Even more alarming is the way people have hijacked the importance of discussing the way men can be victims of domestic violence and using it to support a man who is on the record as being physically abusive to his partner and is now continuing to drag these moments into the press for his own gain. So Johnny is doing this for his own gain, guys. He's suing Amber Heard and pursuing this for his own gain. Actually, I hate to say it, but it's actually the reverse. He's taking massive hits to his financial status, his reputation, to just get the truth out. That's what he's doing. So everything Winky Winkles here says is pretty much the opposite. You don't want to believe me? Fine, but read the judge's words. Look at the transcripts from an objective source. Big fucking mistake, because we know the source was not objective. Again, if you read who the judge was connected to, who was also connected to Amber Heard, only a moron could think that guy was objective. Johnny Depp is a victim, and it's of his own ego, and that is what lost him this job, not Amber Heard, him. If he had just left this case alone, he wouldn't have been asked to resign. Until he takes responsibility, he will continue to be a monster of his own making. How do you guys like that? From a feminist website. Johnny Depp will be a monster of his own making. And I'm only saying this to show some of you guys who maybe got irritated because I use the word feminist in a negative light, that these are the people who are calling themselves feminists now. So how can I use the word feminist? I can't. I can't use the word feminist without it seeming negative, because a large portion of people who follow pop culture and movies know these people are out there. To people who are good feminists, your name has been spoiled by people like this. You need to call yourself something else or you'll be associated negatively. And the person who associates you negatively, it's not their fault, because they're feminists like this spewing out these shit articles about good men. So, you guys got a problem. And I have to use the word in light of what they proclaim themselves to be. Because I can't explain every time I use the word feminist that there's good feminists and bad feminists. So it's a tight spot for everyone. It's not my fault. It's not the people's fault who use feminism negatively. It's the fault of people like this and at the Jezebel and, Hollywood stars like Meghan Markle who do, crappy things and they call themselves feminists. And, I can't stress enough, as far as like actual feminism, I'm totally with it. Equal rights for equal pay. If there's, some kind of wrongdoing because and only because someone's a woman, I'm all for squashing that and calling those men out or whoever's responsible. But, unfortunately, that's not the image people have in their head when the word's used these days. The image people have in their head is people like this in the Mary Sue. Not everybody, of course not, but people who, like I said, follow pop culture and Hollywood news, things like that. Yeah, I'm overly irritated, as you could see, because I've been following this website for about, maybe 2 or 3 years, and they wrote some really trashy articles about Star Wars, how, oh, let the past die, it's so good that the old Star Wars was ruined, and that kind of thing. So these are kind of the people I gotta call out and spread some truth about. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad, but I'll get over it. Go to work, have some kind of fight with my wife, something like that. See you next time.